Hi everyone and welcome back to the Naio Nails channel. If you don't love us already, today is the day. I'm going to show you how to create the perfect ombre using our ombre brush. Yes, I know ombre is a hard one to achieve, but with the right technique, anyone can do it. So I remember when I first started doing ombres, all the videos that I used to watch, they used to say pat, 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 from side to side. I used to do this and I never got anywhere. So today, I'm letting loose and I'm giving you all the secrets. Let's get cracking. So for our design today, we're going to be using two of our new colors. Yes, I know, me and new colors. You know, you'll get used to it. We're going to be using two of our new colors, one from our nude range and one from our color range that are called Peachy Keen and Apricot Pudding. So I'm going to go in with Peachy Keen and I'm just going to slap on a nice thick layer on the top half of the nail. Now you do want to have a bit more product on the top half of the nail than the bottom, okay? So I'm putting on a nice thick layer on the top half of Peachy Keen, and then I'm going to go in with a apricot pudding. I don't know what I said there, guys. Anyway, apricot pudding, and I'm going to go ahead and just slap on a nice thin layer at the bottom half of the nail. So you want the colors to meet up. It's fine if they don't meet up exactly. It's not something that you must do. We're going to mix them both together in a second. So a nice thin layer, not too much color. One thing I would say, guys, is the top layer should be thicker than the bottom layer because we're going to be dragging some of that color from the top all the way down. Right, so I've got all my colors on the nail. What I'm going to do now is make sure my brush is clean. So I'm going to go into that dampen dish, just get some of that gel residue wipe off solution on the brush. I'm going to dry the brush properly. And before I start, what I want to be doing is separating those hairs. Just with my fingers, make sure all the bristles are separated. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to do before blending those colors together is I'm going to take that ombre brush and just drag the darker color onto the lighter color, just like this. So I'm just going to mix them up. It looks a bit messy, but that's okay. So I'm just dragging that color upwards. And then we're ready to start doing our ombre design. So again, before I do this, I'm going to go into that dampen dish, clean off my brush properly, make sure it's nice and dry. And then again, very important, always separate those bristles with your hands, okay? Now I'm going to pick up that nail. All right. And what I want to be doing is I'm not actually just patting the brush on and praying that the colors will mix. That does not work. What you need to do, well, it will work, but it will look slightly messy. All right. So what you want to do is actually take that brush and you want to press it onto the nail and drag it down 1 millimeter at a time. All right. So what you want to do is just let's see if Drew can get this a little bit closer from here. So what I want to do is like press on the nail and just drag it a millimeter down, even less than what I did. But we're going to do it all the way across, okay? So we're going to go in and do drag and pull all the way through. Can you see, Drew, that I'm forming a line with the color that I'm dragging down?
Yeah.
Can you see that I'm forming a line here?
Yeah, I can see
I
that.
keep bringing that line slowly down from side to side, 1 millimeter at a time. Can you see that line now? It's a lot clearer now.
So you're just dragging that paint
So I'm
down.
dragging that paint down 1 millimeter at a time. So that line should be visible until it disappears at the end. So I keep on patting and pulling down.
If you just tried to do it in one, would it just...
Oh, it will be a lot messier. It won't work really. Those small little movements, they mix the color. I mean, of course, we didn't reach that color yet, but we want to get that line ready before the color mix together. So then when you have a lot more of the first color, which is the top one, you'll get a better mixture in the middle. So I'm pulling that line down. See, that line is still there. And I'm now meeting with the second color. So I'm pulling it down. The brush is nearly flat, as you can tell. It's not, it's less than 45 degrees, of course. So again, I've got that line. You can see that line is a lot more visible now. It looks weird, but that's okay. We keep pulling it down. Just keep going, and it will nicely start to mix together. See what's happening?
Oh, yeah.
Keep going. And I still have that line. I'm still dragging it all the way down. And I'm still mixing the colors. Don't press too hard. You just place it on that color and drag it downwards. Keep going 1 millimeter at a time. I will repeat it because it's really important, guys. Keep going. And you can go slightly faster towards the end because we've already mixed both colors. And what's left on that line is just the darker shade now. So I'm just going to go a bit faster on the end. Let the color self-level. Move the product around a little bit in the end. I might have pressed a little bit too hard. And there we have it, guys. It is less opaque at the moment. Of course, it's our first layer. But if you can tell, the transition is seamless. There is no dots or anything, that makes it look like you just swapped from one color to the other. So once that layer is ready, I'm going to pop it into the lamp for the full length of time, curing time, and then I'm going to go in with the second layer. Right, so I've got my first layer cured, and again, I'm going to go in and do that second layer the same way I did the first one. So I'm going to go in with Peachy Keen, and I'm just going to slap on a nice thick layer on the top half of the nail. Now, you do want to have a bit more product on the top half of the nail than the bottom, okay?
Is this second coat just exactly the same technique as the first coat, though?
It is indeed. Definitely. We're going to keep repeating this until we achieve the perfect ombre. Some people do it twice. Some people repeat it 3 times. The way I've taught myself was 2 times. The way I was taught by masters was 3 times. So it really does depend on how opaque your product is and how comfortable you are working with the brush. So again, the second layer was thinner. The bottom color was thinner because we're going to be pulling the product from the top half to the bottom. And if you put too much product on the bottom one, it will get quite messy and you'll have a lot of product left on the nail. So again, we've got our clean brush. I've cleaned it already. I've separated the bristles. And what I'm going to do again, like the first coat, I'm going to go in and just pull some of the darker shade upwards. And yes, it does look messy, but it helps me to marry those colors together and make my ombre a lot more seamless. So I've got that sorted. Now I'm going to go in again. Ooh, yeah. I'm going to just clean that brush off. And yes, I might be repeating it like a robot, but it's super essential that your brush is nice and clean and the bristles are separated before we start this process all over again. Now, I'm not going to go in and start the ombre from the top. That's the cuticle area. You want to keep it nice and neat. If you start messing with it, then it will just go into the cuticles and will look not as neat as you want it to. So I'm going to start off just above where the two colors meet. About, what, a centimeter, would you say? No, less than a centimeter.
5 mil.
Yeah, 5 mil, something like that. 5 millimeters.
Yeah.
Mil is water, no?
You could say mil.
Can you?
Millimeter, yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. My bad, guys, my bad. So, okay, I'm going to go in and just drag that color and pat it and pull down. So again, I press it and I pull slightly, just 1 millimeter, okay? So again, 1, and I'm starting to form that line that I've talked about earlier. Very slow motions, very slow motion, pulling that line downwards from side to side, 1 millimeter at a time.
Do you have to do this with two colours that are similar to each other, like the ones you've picked, or could you pick like completely opposite colours, like red and blue, for example?
So, for example, you need to look at the color chart and definitely have to work with colors that are from the same group or same family or have the same tones. You can also do multiple colors. That's not a problem, but you have to make sure that they are next to each other on the color chart. Otherwise, it won't mix as well. There are some, sometimes that you can take colors that are complete opposite and then try and mix them in the middle to create a tone in between that will kind of, help the ombre look more seamless. But ideally, you want to be looking at the color chart and what colors are next to each other and create an ombre based on that. Can you see that?
Yeah, it looks seamless.
Seamless. That is a perfect ombre and it's so easy to achieve. If you keep patting it on, stop doing that because it won't get you anywhere. You'll keep getting those little dots in between, which will drive anyone that looks at an ombre crazy. You need to have a nice seamless transition. So try and pull that color, keep that line going, the line that Drew has zoomed into, and keep going all the way down and mix those colors together. I'm now going to go ahead and give this a cure and top coat it for you guys. Right, so both layers cured. I'm going to go in with our Urban Graffiti top coat, slap on a nice thin layer on the snail. And even a shiny top coat does kind of blur out any imperfections, just in case you do have any when you start out and when you practice. So it brings it all together, so it makes it look even better. So I'm going to go ahead, just put that on and pop this back into the lamp. And there you have it, guys. With our top coat, the ombre is ready to go. Super simple. It's a technique that you need to practice, but once you get it, you will master it. And if you master it, you can do multiple colors and go and do, for example, 5 different colors on one nail or whatnot. So I hope you like this tutorial. I've also included another nail here, which I used El Ultra matte top coat on, just so you can see the difference of how the ombre looks. I think it stands out a bit more with a matte top coat, don't you think?
Yeah, it looks nice with the matte.
I like it. Yeah, so this is how you do an ombre. I hope you find this tutorial quite informative and you like the technique that I've taught you. Let me know in the comments below if there's anything like this in the future that you'd like to see. As always, pleasure being with you guys and sharing my knowledge with you. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.